Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil. Appreciate you guys giving me the weekend to just kind of recharge my batteries and get ready for this week. There's a lot to cover. I will be talking about the Jar Jar event in a later video, so at the time of recording that is going on right now, we will be talking about that. There's been some bugs to say the least, especially in Tier 1. But we're going to be talking about Conquest today and your guide to it as a mid-game player. How should you be attacking Conquest? So go ahead, please like and subscribe, comment down below. Let's give our shouts to the channel members again for continuing to keep their faith in this channel. Thank you guys for making this community so amazing. You are all fantastic. I very much appreciate you. And if you ever have questions about Conquest, you know the drill. Send me a DM or tag me in the Discord. More than happy to help. Let's get into our video, guys. Let's talk about Conquest. All right, and of course my game is not working. There we go. All right, now we're back. So, sorry for the delay. Let's get in here. So Conquest. Listen, if you're in the mid game, which mid game to me kind of says you just got to hard mode, you just got to 4 million, you're in that maybe 4 to 6 million range, where Conquest is still really challenging. There's a lot of ways that you can go wrong. The first piece of advice I'll tell you is always do hard mode Conquest. You always want to do hard mode Conquest. Hard mode Conquest is literally way better. Like box 1 in hard mode Conquest is better than getting the max crate in normal mode Conquest. So rewards significantly better in hard mode. And honestly, it is easy to build up to those. Even if you don't have as many teams, what you do is you're just going to start collecting the key cards as you can in the first sector. So maybe you're not moving as quickly through sector 1, but then once you get some of those key cards, some of those other teams become available to you, and you can start just charging through each of these different sectors and really working towards getting through as many of them. And that's going to be the first tip. Ignore sector feats early on. Now, when I say ignore, hey, if you've got resistance, use them. If you've got the light side Mandalorian team of Bo-Katan, use them. If you can get evasion up, use them. But don't try and farm feats on your first playthroughs. Just worry about trying to get through as many of these as possible, right? Here's the way I would describe that. Think about getting 35 kills with Ewoks. That's going to take you, call it 7 battles that you're going to get 5 kills with Ewoks each time. So that is 7 battles right there for 5 key cards in total. You're going to get 5 key cards by doing 7 extra battles. So if you have to sit there and farm a node that you've already got 3-star, you're basically, your return on that is less than a key card per battle, where every time you do one of these nodes, even if you just 1-star it, it's still a full key card. So it's better just to keep clearing nodes. Where you want to focus farming your feats is in sectors 3, 4, and 5. That's where feats are worth more points. You can start getting a better return on the resources you're going to spend. Sector 5, if you can get some of these feats done in, a couple of battles, that's 15 key cards that you can just put in the bank. So focus on the feats in the later sectors for more bang for your buck. Early on, just try and get through as many of these as possible. And that's honestly a big tip because there are a lot of nodes, right? There's there's 76 points up for grab. There's like 70 points or so in every single sector, I think, somewhere in that range. There's more in these later ones, but I think in these early ones, it's like 70 points, 65 something. I don't know the exact numbers, but call it, even if it's 60 per sector, just call it 60 per sector. There's 5 sectors. That's 300 key cards without earning a single feat. So that's going to put you here without doing any feats. And if you can get to, say, 365, that's box 4, right? Your 4th box in Conquest, you could basically get to without doing a single feat. Where feats begin to make a difference is probably going from, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, and 6 to 7. It's these later boxes. But early on, just going through the nodes is going to be plenty enough for you to get decent rewards inside of Conquest. Because if you're a 4 million galactic power player, which is kind of the second, the earlier galactic power, my advice for you in the mid game is that you need to recognize that you're not an Olympian, right? The Olympics are going on right now, so we're going to use Olympics here. If you go out, if you're a 1500 meter guy going up against Jakob Ingebrigtsen, which if you didn't know, he's the best 1500 meter on the world right now. If you go up against Jakob Ingebrigtsen and go out as hard as you can, you're going to stick with him. He's going to destroy you. In fact, he's going to beat you by more than if you went with your own plan, right? As a runner, I can tell you that when I was running, I would go into my races with a plan that, hey, this is my pace, this is what I'm going to run, and I'm going to try to run my best time. Because if I try to run with the best guy in my conference, I'm going to end up running slower because I'm going to die. I'm going to go out too hard. I'm not going to have enough left at the end. Like, that's exactly what happens in Conquest. If you start trying to get all these little feats done and you're putzing around in here spending all these resources trying to get Ewok kills, you're going to get into these later sectors and be like, crap, I can't score as many points because I don't have as many battles left. And you're like, oh, Conquest is impossible. Just focus on getting through it, right? Know what your account is. Know what your limits are. They publish the feats for Conquest on the forums. There's even data mines for them. I wish I had that handy, but I don't, so I apologize. But they publish them, so you can kind of take a look and figure out, hey, if I'm only going to be able to score 400 points in Conquest, right? This is where I'm ending up. So I know that as I'm getting to this box here, if I'm not really keen on these rewards, don't worry about pushing much beyond this and save your crystals or save your energy. Conquest is a game about understanding your roster, and unfortunately in the mid-game, it is something that I think is getting more and more challenging for 4 million Galactic Power players to participate in hard mode Conquest. And that's because of the way that Conquest was implemented. When it first started out, the gap of players playing Conquest was probably anywhere from like 8 million to 4 million Galactic Power, give or take. Maybe a bit more than 8 million, but like it wasn't a massive gap of players. Now, you think I'm at 11 million Galactic Power, and 4 million Galactic Power players are in the same version of Conquest as me. And there are guys with 15 million Galactic Power who are playing this same exact version of hard mode Conquest. So it's very, very challenging. It's almost like giving a test to a group of, 12th graders through 6th graders, which if you're in the US, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Otherwise, just think like high school to elementary school students. And that every year, everybody who's taken that test has to take it. Regardless if, you get out of high school, you're still going to take this test. And they're going to add in the new batch of 6th graders, right? And every year, the test gets harder, but the entry level is still the same point, right? That the entry level is still 6th grade. Well, if you keep making that test more and more challenging, those 6th graders who are taking it for the first time every year are going to do worse and worse and worse because they're not prepared for the difficulty of the test. And that's exactly what's kind of happened with hard mode Conquest. It's gotten more and more challenging because those in the top end of the game can just clear through it with no problem anyways. So I think part of that problem for mid-game players is you're seeing this now where Conquest has kind of really been this game mode that unfortunately you don't have the best way through it. And then the other side to, Conquest, of course, is Proving Grounds. Now, I don't think they show Proving Grounds yet in the events coming up, but Proving Grounds will happen at the end of Conquest, and it's your opportunity to earn shards, right? To earn shards for characters who are no longer in the reward crates and no longer even in the Conquest scavenger nodes, right? So right now, Darth Bane, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, they're going to be the next two characters to hit Proving Grounds. I think Dark Trooper Moff Gideon will come first and then Darth Bane. But that's kind of the Proving Grounds order there, right? So Proving Grounds has a systemic problem as well. That when Proving Grounds first was created, it was created with the idea that players are in hard mode Conquest earning decent rewards, right? Maybe you're earning box 4 or box 5, so you only need a couple of rounds through Proving Grounds to get a 7-star character, right? Maybe only, a couple of months and you're going to have that 7-star character. Well, to kind of play devil's advocate here, what about somebody who just hit 4 million and doesn't have a single shard of these characters who are in Proving Grounds? It's going to take them 17 months to get a 7-star character. And during that time, right, whatever characters they missed the Conquest for, they didn't earn any rewards. So I think one of the other problems mid-game players have is that they're not only behind because of what the Proving Grounds mechanic and how long it takes to get there, but you don't earn any rewards in Proving Grounds outside of character shards. Like, even if you just get box 1 in hard mode Conquest, you're still getting all of these extra resources. You're still getting Zetas and mod materials and credits. So if I ruled the world, what I would do with Proving Grounds is, hey, if you have 0 shards of Commander Tano, you're about to do Proving Grounds for the first time. The first time you beat her Proving Grounds event, you're going to get 3 times box 1 of hard mode. Recognize that the player is already at a disadvantage compared to people who've been playing Conquest since day one. And I know that you're like, well, Phil, they don't let that catch up happen in other ways. Correct. But I feel like with Conquest, it's so much harder because it is a game mode that unfortunately is getting more and more challenging, and you're making that gap is growing between those of us who can complete it and those who can't because of the reward structure, right? That you think with what I used to be able to get a max crate with now might score me box 4, box 5 because it's just gotten more and more challenging. So I recognize that for mid-game players, that is something to potentially look out for. Other things I'll say for you in the mid-game as you're thinking through Conquest, right? You're talking about these feats. Globals. Ignore these, like Cal Kestis, Dark Trooper, Moff Gideon, Gungans in the squad, Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan. Like, just, listen, I get it. It's brutal. It sucks. There's nothing you can do about it. The only thing I'll say is that there is the Conquest Pass Plus if you are interested. Again, I'm not going to tell you that this is the best thing ever, right? All this will do, it will give you access to, I think, about 32 key cards for free every single time. So if you go into Conquest and you look at 2 of the feats here, I think this one, right? You can get this one and this one here with the Conquest Pass Plus. So, you know, getting those 30 key cards through the Conquest Pass Plus, that is an option if you are interested. Again, I don't always recommend it. The one thing I'll say is there is some decent value here between the Kyra tax, and then the bigger one here is an extra day of Proving Grounds. So it does increase, like that is one area that I think gets overlooked for a lot of players. Getting another day of Proving Grounds is pretty significant, especially when you compute that to the crystal cost. Now, the other side to that they don't really tell you is, yeah, getting that extra day of Proving Grounds is great, but if you're going to unlock 10 characters on the exact same day because of the way Proving Grounds works, are you going to have gear, zetas, omicrons, and mods for 10 characters? So it sounds great on paper, but that cost for $30 for me, it does get a bit excessive. I think the majority of people who purchase this pass are doing it for datacrons, actually, that a lot of those top-end players do it for the extra energy regeneration and extra stamina. But if you're a mid-game player and you don't have as many teams, that extra stamina generation could be really nice for you to try and get into those later boxes. Because one thing to say is, I say this every Conquest video, if you can earn box 6 and purchase the Shards of Luthen every single Conquest, right? If you do that, and then you go back through the second time and continue getting box 6 every Conquest, you will earn a Conquest character in 6 Conquests. So you won't have any need for Proving Grounds. So that is very much something to think about there as well. The last thing I want to leave you with is your Conquest currency. How do you spend this stuff? I would never buy the current Conquest character unless you are planning to only be purchasing those shards with every remaining Conquest after that. So, for example, you know, Teacher Man in my Discord, he actually unlocked Darth Bane, and he was nowhere near getting Darth Bane through the 6 Conquests that he was the character in. But he continued to purchase Darth Bane every single time he played Conquest. And so what that allowed him to do is recognize, yeah, I don't need Queen Amidala. I don't need Luthen. But you know what? I want Bane. Bane's the character that I want. So he purchased Bane shards every single time he could. That's a really good way. If there's a single character that you really, really want, will really help your account, don't be afraid to purchase their shards. But be mindful, you're going to need to make sure that you can get that character before they disappear into Proving Grounds or before they disappear, because otherwise you're kind of wasting some resources. Another thing I would say, just kind of as a forewarning, is that they also do have these available at times through the Conquest store. So you can also get some of those shards there as well. And I guess, like, from a forewarning perspective, I'll tell you that, like, don't let this max out, because you want to maintain as much of this as you can. So sometimes they do have them available down here that you can purchase, but it is random. The other way that you can spend your resources here is on signal data. Signal data is probably the best bang for your buck here, being able to get this white signal, green signal data here, and in some of the later sections you can actually get blue signal data. That is a great way in some of these later scavengers. There's some blue signal data, there's some green signal data up for grabs. That's how I would spend it. It's how I spend my extra. And in fact, I'd even say that if I bought the Conquest Pass from regular perspective and was earning the shards of Luthen, that I wouldn't have to purchase his shards in the scavengers, I'd be going all in on the signal data, and then I'd probably be looking at some of those gear pieces. I'd be looking at gear and relic materials, basically purchasing those to help offset. So that's the video, guys. Let me know if that helps. Again, please like, subscribe, comment down below. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.